Hi guys, it's me again. So, I heard that we have not updates, that the new version of Spreaker has, like, a partnership going on thing. Not even a partnership, I'm lying here. Has a connection to YouTube, and when I saw that, when I uploaded the last little short episode thing here, I was like, oh, uh, okay, so that last episode is on YouTube now. But I missed you guys. How have you been? My demographic keeps getting weird on me, cause when I see people older than me listening to this, I'm wondering like how interested are you in my podcast? But anyway, I feel as if I should finish doing this because I'm gonna I'm gonna finish posting stories. I'm really BSing right now. I missed you guys though. The title of this next creepypasta. Ooh, this is long. Oh, let me find something shorter. Cause literally I'm not feeling well, and I keep putting off talking to you guys, and I do miss you guys very much. I should have selected this beforehand. I don't know why I keep picking the long stories. Like, I know I don't have a life. Oops. So you guys are gonna be proud of me when I say I found a story I can actually finish within the time span that I'm thinking of at the moment. And it's called Hands. Get it? Like hands to draw with. Okay, guys. Ready? Pee. Let me get comfortable. The worst thing I've ever done in my life happened about 12 years ago when I was a 16-year-old kid living in Cleveland, Ohio. It was the early fall when the leaves were just starting to turn orange and the temperatures were starting to fall, hinting at the freezing chill I was only a few months away. School had just started, but it had been going on for about a month now. So all the excitement of going back and reuniting with old friends had been replaced by the realization that we were captives in a place that only wanted to load work upon us. Understandably, me and my friends are all eager to do anything that might remind us of the worry-free, responsibility-free days of summer. Earlier that year, about the time the last school year had let out, one of my friends from work, McDonald's, which some people think is lame, but I always had a great time there. He had taught me a technique to make yourself pass out with the help of an assistant. It worked something like this. One person would rapidly take 10 deep, heavy breaths, and on the 10th, squeeze his eyes shut and hold his breath as tightly as possible, while crossing his wrists over his heart. The assistant would then give the person a huge bear hug from behind and squeeze the person's wrists into his breastbone. Within seconds, the person holding their breath would lose consciousness. The assistant was then in a perfect position to make sure you didn't totally collapse and crack your skull open on the sidewalk. The effect only lasted for like a second or two. It wasn't like we were putting ourselves into comas or anything. But it felt like you had been out for hours. And when you came to, this disoriented, feeling of not knowing where the hell you were and what you were doing there was awesome. Now I know some people are like, what the fuck? Are you fucking retard? And yeah, I know. We were probably killing about 1 million brain cells each time we would knock ourselves out. And I think probably my memory has suffered for it. But to a bored-as-hell 16-year-old, I thought it was hella cool. Oh, the effect of getting your lights punched out with none of the pain and getting hitting in the face. I tell you to try it to see for yourself, but after what happened, I would never recommend it to anyone. One interesting side effect of doing this, which was really most of the reasons we did it, was that while you were out, you'd have extremely lucid, vivid dreams, which you could always recall upon waking. After all, you were only asleep for 2 seconds. We were good kids, and had never, and would never try drugs. So to us, this was like a poor man's LSD. These visions, in some way, were usually related to what you were looking at right before you passed out. For example, I had once dreamed that I was climbing a mountain, way up in the Himalayas or something. But there was a handrail there. Who the hell puts a handrail at 20,000 feet? When I came to and remembered where I was, I had realized I had been looking at the staircase at the corner of my girlfriend's living room. Another time I had a vision of Fred Flintstone smiling and holding out his hand in front of a mural with the DARE logo. That's drug abuse resistance education, a program cops teach in public schools. You've probably seen the bumper stickers. I woke up and saw that my friend Brett had been standing in front of me right before I slipped into dreamland, and that logo was on his shirt. Where Fred Flintstone came from, I have no idea. The visions were always mundane things like those. Always until that day. Like I said, school had been going on for about a month, and we were already sick of it. We were hanging out one Saturday in the field, which was really an easement for the electric company to run their high voltage lines. A few of us were sitting on the metal beams at the bottom of one of those towers. My friend Mike was climbing up to the second tier beam so he could jump the 8 or 10 feet to the ground. I thought it was stupid, but hey, I'm the guy who thought it was cool to induce unconsciousness by starving my brain of oxygen. It was a broad day for October, but the light gray of the sky was slowly getting darker in Cleveland. In October, that probably meant that before long, the temperature would soon drop from a comfortable 70 to about 50 in the course of a few minutes. And if we were really unlucky, an ice-cold rain would start to fall. The air was already damp and heavy, and we could hear the quiet buzzing of the high-tension wires above us. I sure as hell didn't want to spend the last few moments of a pleasant Saturday afternoon watching this dumbass climb partway up the high-tension tower, jump down, complain about how that one killed his feet, only to climb up and do the same stupid thing over again. Hey, let's make ourselves pass out, I said. By that time, it wasn't as much fun as it had been in the early summer when we first discovered it, but it was hell of a lot better than what we were doing. Vince was up for it, so was Richard, but Mike, the guy jumping off the tower, said, "What the fuck are you talking about?" Holy crap, you haven't been knocked out before? Vince asked. No, was the response. Mike had been at his mom's house all summer, so he hadn't been in on the fun we'd all been having. Dude, you gotta try this. Watch, we'll show you. And Vince and I got off the tower, stood in the grass at the center, and I did the customary 10 deep breaths. I squeezed my eyes shut and held my breath so hard that if they hadn't been shut, they'd have probably popped out of my head. And I felt my friend clamp down on my arms in front of my chest. And suddenly, as if there were nothing more natural in the world, there was a giant lobster climbing around a lobster cage and I was under the ocean with seaweed growing from the sandy bottom under my feet. The next thing I remember, I was awake and Vince and Richard were asking me, "Dude, what did you see? What'd you dream?" The back of my head was killing me. Fuck, did you let me fall? I wasn't really that heavy, but Vince was pretty weak. He just stood there looking guilty, and Richard told me he had. "What'd you see, though?" he asked. I rubbed my head and said it was a lobster. It was pinching Vince's head off with its claws. I turned to Mike, watching from the L-shaped beams above, and said, "See? It's fucking awesome." "Whatever. I don't trust any of you enough to do that shit to me." "Come on, man. You gotta try it. It's no more dangerous than what you're doing now. I promise you I won't let you fall like this bitch did." He squinted in the way people do when they're trying to decide if what they're thinking of doing is worth the risk or trouble. He jumped down one last time, got up, and said, "Fine, once." If only he would have thought a little longer, or just flatly refused. He repeated the 10 deep breaths with me as the assistant to make sure he didn't fall. He held his breath, and I helped him slip into that other place. It's something I've regretted ever since. That, and when I think back on all the things I wish I had done differently in my teenage years. Girls I should have tried for, classes I should have tried harder in, all the things I should and shouldn't have done. Putting him in that bear hug and squeezing him into unconsciousness is the thing I most regret. I felt the dead weight shift from his feet into my chest. He was a pretty big guy, but I made sure to let him down easy and not knock his head against the hard-packed earth. Just as I laid him on the grass, he came back. He woke up screaming, "Fuck! Holy fuck, get away! Get away, get away!" He screamed, and as he leaped up to his feet and flailed his arms around his head, we all jumped back, afraid of being hit in this frenzy, but more afraid, so scared we almost shit our pants, of what we were seeing. After about 5 seconds, which is about twice the time it normally takes a person to realize where they are and remember what they're doing, he slowed down. Shit, holy shit. He was breathing heavily, gasping deep breaths, and hunched over at the corner of the tower. It's a wonder that in his mad state he didn't run right into the supports and knock himself out for real. But he just stood there, bent over at the waist, then fell to his knees. With his back turned to us, he started rocking and wringing his hands and muttering to himself. "Holy mother of fuck," said Vince. "What the hell did you see?" But Mike didn't answer. He approached him slowly, and as we drew near, we could hear him quietly sobbing. In our macho world, that was normally a crime, punishable by death. But at the time, of course, we didn't say a word. But I reached out a hand to his shoulder. But as soon as I touched him, a touch so sensitive and light that he shouldn't have been able to feel it, he shrieked and jumped away, hanging his back to the corner of the tower. He pressed up hard against it, staring at us with a look of terror in his eyes so real, you'd think we were demons from the pit of hell. If ever in those few moments I thought that he was putting on to fuck with us, that look put all my doubts to rest. That and what happened afterwards, of course. None of us said anything. But after about 10 minutes, Mike had calmed down enough that Richard was able to coax him to his feet and lead him back to his house. As I had suspected, the temperature had fallen like crazy in just a few minutes, and just as I figured it would, the freezing cold drizzle started to fall. I told Vince I was going to go home, and I'd see him tomorrow. We always spent the evenings and rainy days playing Mortal Kombat on our SNES. But he didn't object. I think he probably wanted some time alone to reflect on what horrible thing we had done to our friend.